Hello. I know what you're thinking. You're like, wait a minute, there's one of you here. Drew is on the way. We got a little delayed this morning. Some real life things happening, and we love being here. We love chatting the wrestling with you, but sometimes real life is kind of more important than the good old wrestling. So Drew should be popping in. We were going to be running a little late anyway, but then Drew's computer decided to do that fun thing where it's like, hey, you need to update. So I'm rocking solo for the first few minutes here while we wait for Drew to pop in here. And we're going to really talk about Dynamite last night. It was an excellent Dynamite. So once Drew pops in, Johnny, how we doing, my friend? Welcome on in. Once Drew pops in, we'll start breaking down Dynamite and stuff like that. But welcome in as everybody settles in. I am JPJ. I will have the reins until we get Drew popping in here. But we can talk a little bit about Collision first. From this past Saturday. I know usually when we're on here for Firmly AEW, we're very Dynamite centric. It's not because we don't watch Collision or anything like that. I just feel like Collision, for the most part, has kind of become like, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely like become a B show for AEW. I feel like they treat Dynamite like it's the A show, and Collision lately, at least to me, has felt like a legitimate secondary show, which is unfortunate. But there was some good stuff on this week's Collision, specifically with Wheeler Yuta, which we saw a little bit of that last night on Dynamite. We'll wait for Drew to get here before we do that. But on Collision, it started off with Jack Perry versus Christopher Daniels. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel in the chat, but for me, I mean, I don't get that. Not that I don't like the guy, but like, there's nothing about Christopher Daniels wrestling that, like, no, you're not going to win this match. You're not a full-time wrestler in the company, on the product. Nothing about this match got me excited. Was the match fine? Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. Jack Perry clearly gets the victory there. But the stuff with Wheeler Yuta is really on Collision what stuck out to me. He's asked out back about Bryan Danielson and how Bryan Danielson is doing. And Yuta can barely speak. He can barely speak about it. He says out of respect for him and his family, he's not going to share too much, but he's doing the best he can given and then he just kind of stops. Like he just loses his train of thought. Then he says, I'm sorry, I forgot my boots. And he's like, can you repeat the question? Like that was weird. Sorry. Like he's almost like his brain is shutting down because he's going through so many emotions, thoughts. And they kind of leaned into it last night. Like I said, I'm going to wait for Drew to get here before we start diving into Dynamite. But this was a little tease. And I liked what they did last night with, I think they're still calling them the BCC, right? I liked what they did last night. But yeah, so then she asked him, and he says Bryan is doing the best he can. And then Lexi kind of goes in mentioning his match tonight. Wheeler Yuta puts over Anthony Henry as like a tough guy, says he's not going to take him lightly. He said he apologized and he's been thinking a lot about everything. And Danielson taught him to put everything else on pause when he's in the ring. And he's going to try to do that. But it's very clear that he is emotionally beat up over everything that happened. And it's starting to affect, his thoughts and his focus and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. The report's not official yet. but the reports are 170 million a year for 4 years or something like that. The rumor reports is that HBO or Max, I know it's not HBO Max, I always call it that because I'm old, but like the reports are Max could be involved from the pay-per-view standpoint, which would be excellent. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a good thing. And there's going to be plenty of people that have been waiting for this not to happen. And they're, you know, it's good for wrestling. Having more companies out there for people to go work. I think Danielson had a quote in the last couple of days where he was like, look at, some people are going to succeed, you know, over there. Some people are going to succeed over here more. And then some people are going to succeed. Some people can succeed in both places, but the more opportunities and the more options these performers and wrestlers have to go make good money, be on TV, be on pay-per-views, be in that spotlight, that's good for pro wrestling. So I think once they announce it and we know the final details and things like that, I think that is where it's just a really, really good thing. And I do a show about AEW, so I want them to succeed. I want them, I've been hearing a bunch of people saying that this is never going to happen and blah, 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 and the ratings and all this stuff. Well, it's going to happen, dude. It's going to happen. And they're going to sign for a big amount of money. And, they're going to continue to produce more pay-per-views. And if they can get HBO Max, if there's even potential about the Ring of Honor library as well somewhere, like that, I don't understand how that can be a bad thing. One thing I'll never understand is people claiming they're wrestling fans, but then not wanting the wrestling industry to be better. Like if you only like one company, I don't consider, like if you know what I mean? Like if you're only rooting for, this stuff back and forth or whatever, if you're only rooting for one place to succeed because that's the place you prefer, you're not a wrestling fan to me. You're a fan of that company. You're not a wrestling fan, because if you were a wrestling fan, you would want the whole thing to succeed. And a deal like AEW reportedly has already kind of finalized. They're just waiting to announce it. A deal like that is good for the wrestling business. And that's how I view that, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm ready. I want to see the announcement. I want to hear all the details. I want to see what the pay-per-view stuff kind of looks like, because I think that is really where, like, obviously the fact that they're going to stay on TV, which is great. They're going to not leave TBS, TNT. So we're going to get the same stuff we've been seeing. And then, that is a really, really good thing. I'm interested in what the pay-per-views look like. Is it going to be 10 a year, but it's still $50 a pop? Are they going to be involved with Max, where it's like a Peacock situation or a WWE Network situation where we're paying for Max monthly, so that comes with it, so I don't have to drop an extra $50 every month? Or you can use our friends NordVPN and not do that. Or you can change your location at every time. Super safe as well. Bring all your home settings with you. There are ways to get around it. Don't get me wrong. But that's how I feel about it. So I really want to get the meat. Well, I mean, I don't know if no one's interested. I find it hard to believe that no one would be interested in it. That's just kind of how I view it. As I mean, I understand why people wouldn't be interested in it, maybe because they haven't done a good job of making anybody, including Ring of Honor fans, interested in their product, because they don't really, well, that's not in his normal setup. So that tells me something went wrong.
Yeah, my computer sucks.
Fair.
Hi, everybody.
Fair. Drew on remote.
I'm live on location, still in my location, but using something else.
It looks like your phone. Are you using your phone right now?
It is my phone, yes.
Fair.
It just dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute. I have Slack on my phone. I can just
you could have
come in here.
Yeah.
Joey, hello,
Look
stupid.
I was holding it down as best I could. But
do I sound okay?
You sound all right. Yeah, you're a little echoed, but you're on a phone. You sound fine. Clear.
Okay.
Clear, good to go. We can make it work. Is your computer dead, or is it just still doing that update?
It's updating, and it takes forever because
Oh,
it's like
that
9
happened to me
years
a couple.
old.
That's why
So,
we were late a couple weeks ago because I turned on my computer and it
right.
was like,
Yeah.
"Here's an update for you." I was like, "No, we can do it in a couple hours." And they were like, "No, it's going
Yeah.
down." I was like, "Great."
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a new Microsoft thing now that's going to probably want me to put a pin in, and then I don't know the pin, so it's just going to be
it's
stupid.
lovely, ain't it? It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's absolutely lovely. I was just kind of going over quick little bullet points of Collision, barely. But I got asked, Johnny in the comments asked about our thoughts on the potential TV deal. So I started talking about that. So I mean, the reports are it's basically finalized. It should be hopefully announced within the next week or so. $170 million a year for 4 years.
Yeah.
Potential HBO Max or Max involvement with the pay-per-views as well. That's really the details I want the most, to be honest with you. But just your
It should be
initial, yeah,
really exciting. Hopefully, within the next 2 weeks, we get the announcement of this deal because next week is Grand Slam, the last
yeah,
Grand Slam for now, at least in New York,
mm-hmm.
and then the 5 year anniversary is the following week. So
Absolutely.
if not next week, the announcement's got to be coming the week after. It's got to be coming on the 5 year anniversary, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be around there. I would say, yeah, what I'm hearing is they're saying it might be announced next week. But I mean, if you wanted to hold it off to the 5 year announcement, that I could completely understand. But I was basically saying, like, yeah, I mean, this is a really, really good thing. People have been, we've heard rumors about a new deal for going on what feels like half a year to a year now. And now it seems like we're finally here. It seems like we're pretty close, if not already done. They just need to announce it and go through the details and stuff like that. And I mean, it's a good thing. They got what they wanted. It's going to be a big money deal. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be there. But now it's okay. Now you got the deal. So now you need to live up to the deal. And I think that's kind of, got the deal. Let's announce the deal. Let's everybody know what the details are on the deal. And now, AEW, over the next 4 years, you need to live up to Warner Brothers investing in you. And you need to, and we're seeing it, Drew.
And
I mean,
potentially not just Warner
exactly,
Brothers.
because that is the rumor as well that they're still shopping other shows to other companies as well. So it might not even just be Warner Brothers. There's the Fox rumor with the Shockwave and all whatever that is and stuff like that.
Last
So
night, Fox Sports 1 conveniently did a little like 20-minute documentary on Tony Khan. So
yeah, on the day of the draft when they had Collision the same night, he's wearing the neck brace and all that fun stuff from back then when that angle was happening. Like, so there are things happening here that, again, it's an exciting time. And you see AEW. I mean, we're going to talk about Dynamite here because it was a really, really good episode of Dynamite last night. But like next week's Grand Slam, which they've always made a big show, but next week's Grand Slam is literally like a pay-per-view. Like it's championship match, like all big matches. Usually there's big matches on a Grand Slam. We've seen Omega and Danielson. We've seen title matches and things like that. But this is like every match is a title match or
yeah,
a big stipulation match. Like they just added the women's title match last night as well after the show. So like, and then we find out on Dynamite, which we'll talk about more in 2 weeks for the 5th anniversary show, we now have a pun intended, Dynamite main event that people have been clamoring for a decade with Will Ospreay and Ricochet. We're going to talk about it, but we're starting to see, this Warner Brothers is about to give you 170 mil here a year. So Dynamite, your shows are going to be, you need, and I think we're already kind of seeing like, hey, you invested in us. Well, this is what we're doing for free live television is we're giving you these friggin' matches that are people want to see and they've been clamoring for a while. I mean, Grand Slam has a bunch of stuff, which we'll get into, but like in the next 2 weeks, we have 2 dream matches potentially happening that people have wanted for a decade or more, with Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson potentially next week, and then Ricochet and Ospreay the week after. Like those are 2 matches that wrestling fans, not all wrestling fans, but most wrestling fans that know these individuals have wanted to see for a long, long, long time. And we're getting them on free television.
Yeah.
Not pay-per-views that we got to pay for. Free. Back-to-back weeks. Just these iconic, classic matches that a lot of us thought we would never see again are happening for free. And I think part of that is because we are on the precipice of them signing this massive deal. And kind of, you know, they got to put some rocket fuel in the jet. You know what I mean? And kind of keep going. So,
Yeah.
But all right, we have a Dynamite to talk about. Obviously, we started a little late, so I want to make sure we have enough time.
Yeah, I
agree.
Work after us.
I know. I agree, Johnny. I am loving how they continually, through the episode of Dynamite last night, made it clear that match is only happening if Danielson is cleared. Like they're making that clear that we still don't know whether he's going to be able to wrestle. I kind of like how they're leaning into that. We got the Boss Man also popping in. Such a serious picture. Every time I see that picture,
it's so stoic. And
every time you talk to Spencer, it's nothing but smiles and nothing but cheer. You know what I mean? But that picture is so like professional and like, you know, it's incredible. All right. So we had AEW Dynamite last night. It was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, the Mohegan Sun Arena. And it started off with a one-on-one match. Well, it started off by showing Moxley and crew walking into the building. We see Darby. Here comes Lou. We see Darby. Hi, Bub. Hi. Coming into the arena. And then it started off with a match. And it started off with Chris Jericho going one-on-one with Orange Cassidy. They've been kind of building towards this little rematch here. Jericho's been talking about the jacket that he ruined, and the learning tree has been messing with the conglomeration and Orange Cassidy. And we had a one-on-one match here. I thought it was a pretty damn good opening match, Drew, for Jericho and Orange Cassidy. You know, I know how most people or certain people feel about Jericho, but I thought this was a really, really good opening match between these two guys. We saw the conglomeration get involved. We saw the learning tree get involved, and Jericho tried to cheat, and it kind of turned around on him. And Orange Cassidy,
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yep. And Orange Cassidy. So Jericho was given a roll of quarters by Brian Keith. It looked like he was going to try to hit Orange Cassidy with it. Things went haywire. Orange Cassidy ended up hitting the orange punch with the roll of quarters in his hand on Jericho. And he gets the 1-2-3 pinfall victory over Chris Jericho to start the show.
Yeah, but we know it's not over.
Oh, it's not over. It's not over. But multi-segment match, multi-commercial match. I thought this was a great opener, Drew. I liked the match a lot.
Yeah, it was good. You know, I think there's just so much stigma attached to a Jericho match, regardless of who he's facing and how long it is and what's involved. It's kind of just like, oh, okay, it's a Chris Jericho match, so it's going to be a thing that happens on the show, and it was fine. Honestly, I didn't really have anything against it. Like I said, I like the finish, and of course, it still means that it's continuing, which whatever. But yeah, it didn't hurt the show, but I probably wouldn't have started with it.
It's fair. I feel like getting it out of the way, like when it started and it was like, oh, they're opening with this, I viewed it as, well, you know, if it's going to get one of those Jericho reactions, because no matter what he does now, people are just anti-Jericho, even though the match was good. And like, there was nothing wrong with what happened last night. Just people are so anti-Jericho for whatever reasons. That's your opinion, whatever. That I think we're starting to lose the sight that we're starting to lose the fact that Jericho is still pretty good at this, and he's still pretty good in the ring. And I think everyone's judgment is a bit clouded, rightfully so or not, is a bit clouded to the point where we're not even appreciating good matches with Chris Jericho anymore. And it's like, last night was a really good match. And the fact that most people are like, I get it. But like, I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird things. Like, you have your opinions, you're allowed your opinions, But when your opinions start objectively clouding what we're actually seeing, that's when I'm like, okay, like it's, that's kind of how I view it. But I thought getting it out of the way, because the worst thing you want is you have this red hot dynamite, and then to start the 9 o'clock hour, you have this match, which is a 20-minute 2-segment match, and the crowd just dies in the middle of the show. You know what I mean? So I felt like doing it first.
That's where things are supposed to wind down a little bit for the main event. So
maybe, yeah, but I was like, maybe if they do this first, you can kind of see, like, if you do get that crowd reaction for Jericho, it's at the beginning, and then you can just kind of do what you need to do the rest of the show, instead of like, oh, we want this really hot 2 hours of television, and then you're like, oh shit, this first hour is great, and then it's like, uh-oh, and then it's like, okay, as opposed to just kind of starting like this and then just working your way up the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Which I thought they actually did.
I get that. Actually, it's funny that I mentioned the My GM thing on the WWE show the other day, because now I've been thinking more about booking in the sense of the curve of what it wants,
Yeah.
So like, you got to start off hot, you got to end hot, and somewhere in the middle can be like a 2.5-star match, and as long as it doesn't outperform your main event.
See, for me, for me, when it comes to the TV shows, Johnny, I would agree with that. I thought it was good. A bit too long. I don't think it had to go as long as it did, but I thought the match was good. And I'm an Orange Cassidy guy, so like I had no problem with it. And I thought Orange Cassidy beating him was the right decision, clearly. My thing is, I'm going to lose my train of thought. I already knew once I said my thing, I was like, my train of thought is leaving my brain, but I'm still going to say my thing. Like I knew what the hell I was talking about. Don't get old, people. Don't get old.
Oh, you're not old.
I'm pretty old, dude.
I forget myself. I'm like 4 years younger than you.
I'm a big number next year, Drew. I'm a big number next year.
Oh, I'm a little more younger than you then.
Yeah, I'm a big number next year. And I'm not one of those people that gets worried. Like, I don't give a shit, but I'm a big number next year, bro. But anyway, I thought, yeah, opening.
You look good for 79.
Thank you. So I could be, I've been chilling, unemployed all summer. I shouldn't even try to go. I should just try to be a Santa this winter, right? Like those dudes, you make bank. They make bank.
Oh shit. That's a really good idea, actually.
That's what I'm saying. Like, instead of like going back and trying to find like a real job, I'll just be like, nah, dude, I'll just chill. I'll be a Santa, make some bank from like November and December, and then just roll, dude. I don't know. We'll see. Those people make good money. They make good money, those Santas. I should try to reach out to Mick Foley, see what's up. Although after this week, who knows? Jesus Christ, man. Talk about not reading the room. Anyway. After this, though, Drew, we got something that I loved. I loved everything about this. We get a video from last week. It's Pac. It's Claudio at first. The music is ominous. It's like this, thriller-ish,
like horror movie.
Yes, it was just like this really ominous.
And they weren't even in the dark room. They were just
in the back. Just in the back. And Pac and Claudio are calling out Wheeler Yuta, and they're saying, "Where you been? We haven't heard from you. We haven't seen you since everything happened at the pay-per-view." It's really Pac talking first. He says, "We got a title defense next week. Where you been?" And then Claudio says, "Hey, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed." And then we see Moxley come into frame. And then Moxley, he says, "Wheeler," he goes, "I need you to just think. And you have the strength to do the right thing. And I need you to think about it." And he said, "It's your choice." And I believe Moxley even said, like, whether you want to stay or go, it's your choice. Like, we're not going to do anything to you. It's your choice.
The big line from that was, "For the greater good." For
the greater good. He goes, "You got something to do for the greater good." He's like,
"The greater good."
Yeah. He's like, "However,
if you're a fan of Hot Fuzz, then you know what I'm talking about."
I love those guys.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I loved everything about this. I love this stuff, and I talked about it a little bit on Collision, because they started the Wheeler Yuta stuff on Collision, where he was interviewed out back and he started to forget some stuff, and he was like not answering questions because his, and then they had the match, and you could tell on the match on Collision, even though he won, The match on Collision,
He's
you
just
can
totally
tell
out of it.
Yeah, he's just going through it. He's just got a lot in the brain. It's messing up with his concentration and just whatever. They have this little thing, and then right after this, we have Alex Marvez, who's out back interviewing Wheeler Yuta. And Wheeler says he's worked his whole career to be a champion. And then he mentions, he says, we have a title defense next week at Wrestle Dream. And Alex Marvez goes, no. Next week is Grand Slam. And Wheeler Yuta goes, oh, sorry about that. I've got a lot in my mind. And then some rando comes and he goes, hey, Wheeler, you forgot your championship belt in the locker room. And Wheeler grabs it and he goes, oh, sorry. He goes, I've had a lot on my mind lately. And like, he's just continuing to do this. And he says he's all over the place, but he's a fighting champion. And if those guys want one more favor, then next week he'll kick whoever's ass he has to. And that's how this kind of segment ended. So they're still, I thought it was, I think what they're doing with Wheeler Yuta is very interesting to me.
Yeah, agreed.
Because clearly he didn't know what was going on at the pay-per-view. He's very emotional, trying to help Danielson. There's been some time now, but it's still clear that we don't know what is going through his mind, but it is clearly
and they're
messing with
gaslighting him.
Yes,
pretty much.
100%. So I'm very intrigued to see how this goes next week.
And one more time for the greater good.
Yes. But I love the BCC stuff. I love the Yuta stuff. I'm very much, and we're going to talk about the BCC some more in a little bit. I'm very much enjoying everything that's going on with this little thing here, because I think it adds more intrigue to what we're going to see next week with Wheeler. Enjoyed it a lot. We then had a squash match. Roderick Strong is at commentary. I thought he was hilarious, yelling at Taz. It's Hook versus JD Inc., which I assume was a local independent fella. Hook beats the crap out of him. It's a squash match. I thought really the standout here was Roderick Strong at the table. What he was saying, talking, yelling, talking to Taz, stuff like that. And Johnny, there we go. Johnny saying, for a sports-based presentation, AEW is really leaning into deep and real psychological issues. Yeah, they are. We've seen it with Hangman.
They're doing both, and I'd say pretty well.
I agree. After the Hook match, we then see Private Party interviewed backstage. They tell Claudio, they say, Claudio and the boys, if you want to fight, they'll fight. We'll find a partner for next week in Grand Slam. And then Isaiah Cassidy goes, and Mox, I'm talking to you. And he looks right in the camera and he goes, Mox, he goes, I ain't scared of you. Like, we'll come for you. Like, you don't scare me. You don't scare me. So, like, we're coming for you. And I was just like, okay.
This was, I have to say, really a great performance by Isaiah Cassidy.
I thought he was good.
They did a couple of promos last night that had this like extra sense of realism to them. Like it really felt like it was the person talking instead of a character talking.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The Ricochet one was the other one. And yeah, I think so. Here's my question to you now. After this, I want to tie this in. So after this, or like, I don't know if it's directly after this or maybe like a segment later, BCC come out to address the crowd.
Yeah.
And Private Party jump them before they even get to the ring. Of course, they get beaten down very hellaciously. But then Commander makes the save for them. But Commander gets immediately just, discarded. Now, they said in their promo that they were going to have a third guy because obviously it's a trios match. Is that third guy Commander?
That's what I thought. That's how I took it. Which I have no problem with Commander, but that's a little, I thought it would be for Grand Slam. I thought it would be a bigger, no offense to him, but I was like, oh, we'll find a partner. And I'm like, oh, who's out there that's a big name that could show up at Grand Slam and get a pop and whatever. But then we did see, so what you're talking about, this is a little bit later in the show, but we can talk about it now. They do make their entrance through the crowd. Like you said, Private Party attacks them. And then, the BCC handles them pretty efficiently. But I'll tell you what, at one point they have Isaiah Cassidy and Mox grabs the mic and he goes, "Hey, you've been here since day one and you guys haven't lived up to expectations since day one." And he's like, "And I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is." And then he goes through a little bit more of a spiel. They take out Marina Shafir attacks Alex Abrahantes during this one too.
Yeah.
He gets taken out. She grabs the mic. Mox grabs a hammer out of a toolbox. And then he goes, let me get to my notes here. He says, I could end your careers right now, but I'm not going to do that. You guys have been here since the beginning and you're in the same spot you were 5 years ago. And why? I said, so what I'm going to do. Oh my God. And he goes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of friction, a little resistance, an obstacle to overcome. He says, I want you to consider this a gift. And he slams Isaiah Cassidy's ham with the hammer. His hand just hits him with the hammer. And then Darby Allin comes out with the skateboard, makes the save. And then him and Moxley are in the ring together and they kind of circle each other. And you can tell Moxley wants to rip his fucking head off, but he doesn't. And Moxley kind of takes a deep breath and it looks like he's becoming calmer. And then Darby swings the skateboard, but Mox gets out of the ring. And then Darby grabs the mic and he says, I'm not the same guy you used to know. I'm going to run through you next week and I'm going to beat you. And then I'm going to go to Wrestle Dream in my home state and I'm going to beat Bryan Danielson and I'm going to become the next AEW world champion. And that's how this whole thing ends. And
oh boy.
Yeah, true. I said it last week.
Fun.
I said it last week. And I said, look, it makes all the sense in the world because of the angle they're running that it would be Moxley and Danielson at Wrestle Dream, and Moxley might be the guy that takes it from him. But I said it last week, the way that they reshuffled everything makes me, I still am feeling this way. And after last night, I kind of feel it more. I think Darby's the guy. I think they're going to put it on Darby.
I don't actually think that way anymore.
Unless it is Moxley, and then the story after that is Darby going after Moxley to get the belt.
That's what I think it is now.
They could do that. But the more this shit is happening, man, I just have a feeling that Danielson and or Wheeler are going to cost Moxley next week against Darby. And then I think it's going to be Darby and Danielson at Wrestle Dream, 2 Washington guys in a Washington pay-per-view. And I think it's Darby, man. Not saying that's what I want, although I wouldn't be against it. I have no problem with Darby. And he's one of the pillars. He's been a star for them since day one, basically. I feel like if you're going to give him a time to see what he's made of at a world title opportunity, like now's the time. I don't know. I'm just getting vibes that it's Darby.
I think that they're going to have, it's a little like,
if they didn't change the match at Grand Slam, yes, if they didn't rearrange things, I would not feel as strongly as I could. But the fact that they took away Darby's, because next week it was supposed to be Darby and Danielson for the belt. That was happening next week. So the fact that they took it away and it now can potentially happen at a pay-per-view in both of their home states, it makes me think that like, oh, I think that was done on purpose. And that's why I'm kind of like,
I kind of feel like with also, because also remember, and he had a little moment on the show last night as well. It was Christian Cage and the Patriot.
That's the next thing we're actually going to talk about. Yeah, that's coming up next.
He's got that guaranteed contract still.
Yep. But you have your own theory about that, though. Anyway.
The thing is that I just don't feel like it's Moxley hasn't had a match yet as this new persona. And what how do you just make him lose his first match?
Well, if there's bullshit.
I don't know. I feel like you could do it that way to protect him in a sense, but I don't know. I feel like something something big feels like it's looming with this new Moxley
Oh, for
character.
sure. For sure.
And if that big thing doesn't involve him winning the title at a pay-per-view, I don't know if it hits as much as if he's just like discarded in a sense because of a interference or whatever causing him to lose the match next week. And then what does he do for the next month and almost a little less than a month until Wrestle Dream? And what is his Wrestle Dream match if it's not for the title?
Yeah. I guess that's kind of just where I don't know. I don't know. I feel like my initial thing was, okay, it's Darby and Danielson at Wrestle Dream. Danielson will beat him. And then whoever at Grand Slam, Danielson will beat Darby. And then whoever Danielson ends up fighting at Wrestle Dream will be the guy that takes the belt off of him. And then, yeah, I see Lawrence's comment. I'll put it up in a second. We're going to be talking about that in a minute. That's just kind of how my brain worked as a wrestling fan. I was like, oh, they'll have a great match. Danielson will beat him. They'll put him over, handshake of respect, whatever. And then they'll lead to whatever Danielson's match is at Wrestle Dream in the home state. That's when he'll lose and kind of end his full-time thing. But then all of a sudden it was, no, we're putting his title match on the line now because Danielson is indisposed until Wrestle Dream, but then Danielson gets booked potentially in a different, and I'm just like, okay, why would that happen? And I don't know. It just makes me think that. And then it's on top of the report that came out a couple weeks ago from Sean, where they said that people higher up in AEW have been really discussing the potential of Darby Allin being a future heavyweight champion. So I hear that report that those have been the discussions, and then everything like this happens within a week after that. And I'm like, Darby's the guy. Washington versus Washington, put somebody over, the new face of the company. It just feels like Darby to me. But I could see Moxley being the guy that takes everything from Darby, beats Danielson, and then Darby goes, no, you took my shot from me. And then Darby's the underdog going after Moxley to get the belt. And he beats Moxley for the belt for the first time. I'm just like, Washington, Wrestle Dream seems to be the spot that you would do it because it is Washington.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of in
the
middle.
Who knows what Swerve is even doing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Swerve's off doing something, filming something, doing something. MJF is off filming something. They don't have those two guys. I don't think they're going to be there at Wrestle Dream. Maybe Swerve will show up because it's Washington State and that's his home state too. I don't know. Part of me is like, could it be Darby? Like it just, I don't know. But yes, Christian Cage and the Patriarchy did have a backstage segment with Renee. He talks about Nick Wayne at first. He says he has a big four-way match on Friday, and he's decided that father and son are going to hold titles at the same time. That's what he's decided. And then he takes a shot at Jon Moxley, and he goes, Renee, there might be some problems in the Moxley household. He goes, but I want you to announce me with my proper name. And Renee rolls her eyes, but she obliges, and she calls him the reigning, defending, undisputed next
WWE Universal. Wrong show.
Next AEW World Champion. And Renee obliges and does it, and that's how that goes. But then the kind of a cool thing we saw is we see Christian look like past the camera, and he goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" And then he kind of pushes the camera. He goes, "Turn that thing off." And you kind of see from an angle we're not supposed to see, where it's Kip Sabian. And Kip Sabian is trying to. I think, is he in the four-way with Nick Wayne? I think he's in the four-way, right? With Nick Wayne on Friday, I think.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. But And because I thought I heard Christian say, like, what are you trying to get? Why are you trying to talk to Nick or whatever? Like, blah, blah, blah. And then Christian basically said, hey, I've warned you before. This is the last warning. Stay the hell away from me. Stay the hell away from us. He goes, I don't care about your dad. I don't care if your dad's dead. But if you don't stay away from us, I will put you in the dirt right next to him. You understand me? And then he turns around and he sees the camera still on and he goes, I told you to get that camera out of my face. And he hits the camera and then that whole thing ends. But the way they showed that, I was like, oh, all right, that's something leaning into, I guess. I don't know.
I'm going to sound awful when I say this, and I feel awful genuinely saying this too. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
And I feel bad because I actually liked Kip Sabian.
Yeah, it's very good.
But Kip Sabian has been on television maybe 4 times this year. Maybe 4 times this year. Why are we doing this?
Well, I think it's to build up to Rampage because I do think they're both in the 4-way, and it's for a number one contendership.
I mean, it's fine, but
yeah,
why
it's for a number one contendership of something. So,
for what? What if Kip Sabian won?
I mean, you got to win. You got to start winning sometime, Drew.
Yeah, but to be a contender already for something when you haven't won anything is insane.
Mm.
You know, just winning a match to be a contender when you haven't won a match in a year and you haven't even barely been on TV in a year, just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So
we got Darren Mason saying, "Now I want to see Penelope Ford come back and smack Mama Wayne."
That would be genuinely good, though. I'm not gonna lie.
That'd be hilarious.
And I don't like being. I feel like I sound like an asshole when I talk like that, but it's just. It literally not a single thing against Kip Sabian. I like Kip Sabian. But why now all of a sudden is there this interest in Kip Sabian when he's not been a regular on television like others have? He's not been racking up wins. He's not even had a match. When was the last time he had a match?
I don't watch Rampage regularly, so I don't know if he's on Rampage a lot.
I know they had been like showing him in the crowd for patriarchy stuff, and then there was one. I remember like maybe a little less than a month ago, there was one short interaction between Kip and Christian.
Yeah,
but for what?
My thing is, again, the vibe that I got last night was that Kip Sabian keeps on trying to talk to Nick Wayne. And Christian is like, no. So I don't know if Kip Sabian is trying to convince Nick Wayne that he doesn't need to. I don't know where they're going, but it seemed like the direction that Christian was talking to Nick Wayne last night was talking to Kip Sabian was, hey, stop trying to talk to my guy. Leave us alone. Don't talk to us. I don't care about you. If you don't stop, I'm going to kill you. That's exactly what it was. So I don't know.
Box at Kip Sabian.
Remember
I
that?
remember that
Remember
gimmick. That was actually enjoyable. I enjoyed that.
And we got Darren Mason saying, I think technically the last time Kip was in action was the Royal Rampage match. So yeah, exactly.
I could see the chat on the phone too. I just have to hit this extra thing.
Oh, there we go.
There's everybody's chat. Hi, everybody.
We then get ourselves a tag team match. It is Mariah May and Serena Deeb taking on Queen Aminata and Yuka Sakazaki. This was a fun little tag match. Let me tell you, Drew, I liked it. I really dig Queen Aminata. I've been saying that for a while now, but I'll tell you what, now that Yuka Sakazaki has been back, she is a ball of fun. She's very good, and she is someone, and it showed last night in the tag team match when she got that hot tag. She's someone that I could easily see the crowd getting behind. Big time.
Oh, yeah.
And they announced it after Dynamite or towards the end of the show next week at Grand Slam. It's Mariah May versus her for the title now. I would expect to see maybe after this match, we'll talk about the match obviously, but after this match, we did get a Mina Shirakawa little promo saying that she's coming. She's coming. Let me tell you what, Drew. I'm going to be a gentleman here because I'm a gentleman. But she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. But I thought this match was a lot of fun. Queen Aminata, very, very good. Yuka Sakazaki, it's been a while since I've seen her. And I like how Taz even mentioned her music. Like, listen to this music. It's insane. Like, cause it's just like this, like fast beat. Like, it's just crazy music. But
the Joshi Talent music, I actually think is some of the better produced music in the company. I really love it.
Yeah. And we saw a rare disqualification victory in this match because it looked like Yuka Sakazaki was going to get the pinfall victory after she hit the magical girl splash, but Mariah came in with her belt and broke up the pin by hitting Sakazaki over the back of the head with the belt. The ref called for the DQ, and then May beat Yuka down, but she left. She kissed her before she left. So again, a good match. It was back and forth. It looked like we were going to get an upset victory, but the champ kind of went to dirty tactics, which kind of led to the title match we're going to get on Grand Slam.
Yeah,
I
and
thought
also
this was a good piece of business.
Because I cover Collision for Fightful, I've been really enjoying the match, the matches. Well, on Collision, so I do want to mention this too because this was really I like this what they're doing here with Queen Aminata and Serena Deeb. They had that little back and forth for like a couple weeks now, where Serena Deeb is trying to bring Queen Aminata into her dojo, and then Queen Aminata's like, "Nah, bro, come," And so last Saturday, Deeb ended up turning on her, and it's like they had the back to back match, and Deeb lost, and Aminata won. So I like the feud between the two of them. I think it was like an easy way to transition Serena back into a heel, and we know that she is definitely a heel because she did come out of the heel tunnel. So so she is a heel again, which is fine. I always thought that her character fit more of a heel anyway.
I agree.
So so I think she'll shine now even more. And Queen Aminata, I mean, man.
Fantastic.
What there's not a single negative thing you can say about her.
I agree.
She's phenomenal. So I'm really glad that that's continuing, and maybe that'll be a Wrestle Dream match.
That'd be okay. I'd be okay with that. I would be okay with that. And we did see Mina Shirakawa. She says Mariah's changed and she doesn't know if she likes it, but she still misses her. And she and thinks that they can have more good times. She says, in my heart, I want Mariah. And if she wants to celebrate and AEW really wants her, Mina is coming. She gave a little wink and she left. And I was just like, ooh.
Everyone wants Mina. So yes.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You can be very gentlemanly about it.
I am going to be gentlemanly about it. But to answer that question, yes, everybody does want Mina, including me. We come back from commercial. There was a little bit of technical difficulties at the start, but they fixed it up. This Nigel McGuinness package about him and Danielson was excellent. Talking to the old Ring of Honor guys, Roderick Strong, and all these other Ring of Honor guys about their history. Oh my God, Drew, it was excellent. I thought this AEW is again, they're really good at their packages. I thought this was one of the better ones we've seen in a bit.
Yeah,
this was really, really good. Leaning into the history of why this match is so wanted and why this match is so special that we might get next week if Bryan Danielson is cleared.
Which he better be because I'm going.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to go, but
see him hold that title.
I'm trying to go, but AEW refuses to get back to me. But I'm trying to go. But I loved it.
Hey, maybe we could do a duo, Firmly AEW.
What I'm saying. If AEW wants to get back to me, if they're watching, if you want to get back to me at any point, I've emailed you because Collision on Saturday, Drew, is in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is not far from me. A little over an hour. And I'm not hearing anything back from them, so we'll see. But there's a chance
Wait,
I
did
might
you,
be.
you contacted him about that, or you contacted him about
I
Grand
contacted
Slam?
him about both,
Oh.
in the hopes that I would at least, hear back. But they're like, no.
Well, we need to talk after the show.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So then we already talked about, because right after that package was the BCC stuff, but we already talked about that. Then we had Ricochet.
Oh, is it time? Oh.
Ricochet versus the Beast Mortos. Now, I know we're going to be talking about this match because the match was good. The match was real good. And I know we talked about him last week. But brother, they got a real one here in Beast Mortos.
Oh boy.
They got a real one here. Now, I don't know if that I feel like there are limitations with a character like that. The guy's wearing a friggin' pig head. There's limitations, all right? The guy's not going to be world champion.
Okay. So
but he's a stud.
I know my finger's in the shot, but I have to hold the phone.
He's clearly a stud, and Ricochet, phenomenal stuff.
So you were a gentleman. I am not going to be a gentleman. The Beast Mortos is fucking hot. Okay.
Hot.
If you have seen.
Oh, like a real picture of him.
If you have seen a real picture of this man.
We don't objectify people here, Drew, at Love Wrestling. We are above that.
Oh, I absolutely do that. He is beautiful. He is a beautiful man. And
I have not seen him. All I see is the pig face, and I go, that's only going to get you so far, bud. Your in-ring stuff will get you as far as you want to go, but there's limitations to that character when you're rocking that. That's not going to be the face of the company ever. So
listen, he takes that mask off, and you'd be thinking, "Oh, okay, hey, I got it."
Hey,
I got it.
I'm not complaining though, because this dude is incredible. And again, he wrestled Ricochet. I don't want to downplay how incredible Ricochet is. He's an all-timer in ring. But what I've seen out of this guy since now he's on AEW more often, and I'm seeing, holy shit, man. Again, but here's the thing though. I also don't want every Beast Mortos match I see to be him for 15 minutes beating the fuck out of people and then losing. Because he did that to, who the hell did he fight recently? He had another one-on-one match recently in the last month or so where he fought somebody and he beat the crap out of him like the whole match. And it was like, wow.
How was Commander?
This guy? No, it was someone bigger than Kyle Fletcher, maybe. I don't know. It was someone bigger than that. It was like a higher elevated guy on the roster, but he fought somebody within the last month or so as well. And it was the same thing. Like he's hitting all these moves. He's doing all this stuff. And it's like, holy shit, dude. Like this guy is a monster. And then he just ends up losing. And I'm like, damn, dude. Like, come on. Like, let him win. When
I found out how hot the Beast Mortos is, I tell you now, brother, I am on the train and I am never getting off. And I mean, he is I'm not just saying it because he's attractive, but he's also, he is a very good wrestler. I agree. I've been enjoying his matches very much. And Ricochet, I can't say enough about that beautiful man as well.
Oh, he fought Darby. He fought Darby on Collision.
Oh, okay.
And he beat the crap out of Darby, but Darby ended up beating him. He did it with Claudio too. He was on Collision against Claudio.
Google the Beast Mortos unmasked. That's what I'm doing. And I just want to see your reaction.
Yeah. So he fought Claudio, 11 minutes, dominated but lost. Fought Darby, one-on-one, 11 minutes, dominated but lost. He hologram beat him in 12 minutes.
Oh,
he hasn't won a match. He hasn't won a match since he's been on AEW.
He hasn't won a match.
He's so good. He dominates these matches. He hits these moves and he dominates these matches where it's like, holy crap, look at this guy. But then he loses. Come on now. But again,
look up a picture of him. Just look up a picture of him.
I feel like
I want to see your reaction.
I feel like, again, we're not even talking about Ricochet.
Oh, we're going to, but
we're not even talking about Ricochet. But I gotta make sure I find him. Yeah, see, everything is him with a mask on. I even typed in Beast Mortos unmasked. I can't find it.
Really?
Can't find anything. It's all with him in a mask. So if you have one, you can send it over at some point. But I don't.
Yeah,
I have some pictures of Luchasaurus unmasked. Not that I asked for that, but yeah. But anyway, I mean, masks or not, I mean, this guy is they are showcasing this guy tremendously, and he looks incredible. I just need to see him winning some matches, man. I know he's not going to beat
That
Ricochet.
would be nice.
I know he's not going to beat Ricochet, but like I need to see him winning some matches. But all right, so far Ricochet is now 3-0 on Dynamite. We've seen him in 3 matches, 3 one-on-one matches. How are you feeling about Ricochet's presentation on AEW so far in the early beginnings of his? Dude, just Samoan drop, the body slam from the top rope, dude. The overhead body slam from the top rope is an amazing move. An amazing move. And yeah, but yes, talk to me about Ricochet, Drew.
Okay, so listen, because I'm on my phone, I'm gonna get up and just like travel. So I just have to say, Ricochet,
Mm-hmm.
I've always been extremely fond of, not just because he's also very attractive, but he is. Well, you know what? I'm gonna hold off. I'm holding off because I want to talk. I really want to talk about it when we get to the promo
That's fine.
after this.
Okay.
So let's yeah.
Yeah.
But this match ruled.
Incredible. Yeah, very good.
Ruled.
Very, very good. Yeah, it was really, really good. We come back from commercial. Tony Schiavone is in the ring, and he welcomes Hangman Adam Page. Hangman comes down.
It's my apartment, everybody. Hi.
we're getting the view. We're getting the tour. Page says he's watched and listened for a long while because he knew a day like this would come when Swerve Strickland was dealt with and would be gone. He said he knew it wouldn't just be Swerve that needed to pay. There'd be dozens and dozens who stood with them, protected him, and supported him. And I'm surrounded by them right now because the crowd is very much chanting Swerve's house, whose house, and Hangman is looking at them very disgustedly.
Yeah.
He says, when I hear those voices, he thinks of being home suspended and thinks of another voice loud and clear above them, a voice coming clear from the commentary desk. And then he starts to look right at Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone starts to back up. He's like, hey, I was just doing my job, man. I was just doing my job. I didn't mean anything by it. Hangman, we know, it looks like he's about to take Tony Schiavone out. We hear Jeff Jarrett's music. Double J comes out. Him and Hangman brawl. Security and referees swarm to pull him apart. Says even Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal are also out there trying to calm trying to calm Jarrett down. Jarrett grabs a mic and he says, I'll be damned if I'm going to sit back there and let you even try to lay a finger on Tony Schiavone. Yeah, the music. Yeah, that music. And yeah, lay a single hand on Tony. And he goes, and there's a lot of guys back there who want it, but I'm at the front of the line of the guys back there that want to whoop your ass. He says, if it's the last thing I do in my career, the last outlaw is going to kick your ass. And that's how that segment ended. So again, there has still been no announcement made, but clearly I assume the 5-year anniversary would be because I don't know how much more you can add to Grand Slam next week. I really don't know how much more you can add. So I think maybe the 5-year anniversary in 2 weeks maybe is where we get this match. I mean, you could push it off to Wrestle Dream if you wanted. But we're clearly getting this Hangman. Oh, I called him by his real name, or the regular name. But we're clearly getting this Hangman Jeff Jarrett match sooner than later. And I said it last week. I have no problem with this match at all. I think this match makes sense. I think the match will actually be pretty good, and I expect Hangman to win. And I'm ready to see Jeff Jarrett go one more time with Hangman. I'm in for that.
Oh, you know what? I just realized something. The pictures that I was talking about was not of him unmasked necessarily.
Mm.
It's with the smiley face thing and
Oh, then I don't need
glasses.
it. I don't need it. Then you don't even know. You don't even know if he's
Listen,
attractive if half his face is covered.
excuse me. Look at that man's body.
You know what? That's not all it's about.
It
That's not
it
all it's
helps.
about.
It helps. I'm just gonna say that it helps.
Unbelievable. It's
Beautiful.
you know, a lot of people once told me when I was younger, Drew, that it's not, don't judge a book by its cover, positively or negatively. It's about what's inside that counts. That's all.
Boy, if people didn't know I was gay before,
Matt, we're gonna
yeah,
have to put warnings on these. We're gonna have to start putting warnings on these shows
we might have to.
for the
If we're
language
talking
we're
about
getting.
Mortos more. By the
Objectifying
way,
people. Unbelievable.
who was it that did this? Oh, it was Matt Taven. Matt Taven did a hilarious thing over the weekend where he tweeted that he had to contact a lawyer. He did this whole thing about like being in Mexico and he had to contact a lawyer, and the lawyer's name was Frank Mortos, attorney at Roar.
No, that's funny. That's funny. We got Spencer saying mega babyface Jeff Jarrett was not on my bingo card for 2024, but you better believe I'm loving it. But you better believe I'm loving it, he says. Yeah, it's good. This match will be good whenever it happens, I assume soon. So, all right. After that, we get that backstage promo that you were talking about. Ricochet is out back, kind of, you know, after his match, kind of getting his stuff together. Will Ospreay shows up. Will offers no hard feelings, but Ricochet kind of goes off on him a little bit. Ricochet says, I've been thinking about you, Will. And he tells him to get his wins up, but he goes, but from my point of view, the moment that he stepped foot in AEW, everybody's been trying to call him out. Everybody is here more worried about Ricochet than they are Will. So he'll do the honors. He said, I know you're busy next week looking for Tag Goal, and I wish you the best. But the week after that, I went to Tony Khan, and I got a match for the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite against you for the AEW International Championship. He goes, we've had matches that have changed the landscape of wrestling. And he goes, and I guess I'll be seeing you real soon. And he just kind of walks away from Will Ospreay. So pretty good promo from Ricochet too, I thought.
And he
pretty
low
good promo.
Him.
Yeah, and he little bro. Yeah, he went to walk away, and then he came back, and he just said, little bro. And then he walked back away. So a little bit of attitude towards the end. But again, really good promo. I thought this was a good promo.
The floor.
Yeah,
this was a very good promo. Yeah. This is why I needed to be here on this show today, was because of this exact moment. So, obviously in WWE, he did not get to really be, you know, he got to have his matches and really good matches. I don't take anything away from that. And he enjoyed his time there too. So I can't talk about it negatively. But this promo was really good. And it like I said with the promo earlier with Isaiah Cassidy, it just had this like extra, this feels like the guy, not the character talking to it. Yeah. You know, him and Ricochet, him and Will Ospreay have huge amounts of history together. If you've not known this story, I think I may have told it months ago, maybe when Ricochet was originally planned to come to AEW, or when Will was planned to come to AEW. 2016 was a big year for my wrestling fandom. That was 8 years ago. I saw Will Ospreay and Ricochet just on happenstance because I happened to be in wrestling forums and I'd never watched anything but WWE up until that point. Ricochet and Will Ospreay at Best of Super Juniors 2016 was the first match in full that I watched outside of WWE's style of presentation of television.
Yeah.
And
that was the match that got like famous, right? Like that was the match that, is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
like all over the internet for the beginning
Mm-hmm.
sequence and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes, with the flipping and the Superman poses and the everything. It was something I had never seen before up to that point.
Yeah.
And I had just come back to wrestling within 4 years of that. So, and I was only watching WWE. So when I saw that, when I saw Ricochet and Will Ospreay at the Best of Super Juniors 2016, I lost my mind in a way I had never lost my mind in wrestling before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I am the wrestling fan that I am today. It is because of Ricochet and Will Ospreay that I am the wrestling fan that I am today. And so last night, they announced they're going to have this match. And then Ricochet says, in 2 weeks. I'm like, wait. You know, there was like the Punisher character's name. I forgot his name. Like, wait, no.
Yeah.
Why can't you? I know we're doing the tag match next week, but it's Ricochet and it's Will Ospreay for the international title, and you're doing it the following week. You're not doing it when you're 30 minutes away at Arthur Ashe Stadium, and I'm gonna be there for it. I had a crisis last night. I'm not gonna lie, because I was literally looking up, how the hell do I make this happen?
You're not. You just watch it on television.
However, it's now like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm laying in bed, and oh shit, my phone's almost dying.
Well, it's good. We only have the main event to talk about before we get out of here, so we don't have that much time left. But
I got to go plug it in. So actually, funny enough, as I'm talking about it, I'm going to be in the exact spot that I was in when I was about to go to sleep, and I was like, oh man, you know what? I gotta get. Oh, here's my little gnome, by the way. My little gnome.
Oh, I see it. All right, yeah.
And it says, my main squeeze. Isn't that cute? My husband bought me this.
Adorable.
So I was here in this spot, and then a light bulb just went off in my head out of nowhere. I'm off that Wednesday.
There we go. Where is it?
It's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that can't be too far from you.
It's 7 hours.
Is it really?
It's a trip.
7 hours.
It's a trip, but you know what?
Holy crap! From New York, Pennsylvania. Man, that's a long. I would.
It's a long stage. It's a long.
Yeah, that's
stage.
fair. That's
People don't
fair.
realize it, but it's a long stage.
Crap.
So I'm laying here, and I'm just like, holy shit. So I work in a school, and we have the Jewish holidays off.
Got it.
Rosh Hashanah.
Ah.
For my Jewish friends, happy Rosh Hashanah when that comes up. Rosh Hashanah is, because I work in a night program, it's sunrise. I think it's sundown to sunrise.
Yes.
So 2 days.
Sure. I think so.
And when is it? Wednesday and Thursday. October 2nd and October 3rd. And I'm laying here, and I almost jolted up out of bed. I was like, oh, I'm off. And not only am I off on Wednesday, I'm off on Thursday too. So I discussed it with my husband, who doesn't like me traveling alone, especially long trips like that. And I said, listen, you're not going to like this, but there's something I've got to do as a wrestling fan, because this is a bucket list for me. Ricochet and Will Ospreay. And not just because it's Ricochet and Will Ospreay, but it is the 5-year anniversary show, so it is a big show for AEW. I'm gonna have to travel to Pittsburgh without you. And we've been wanting to, and he was like, what?
Yeah.
And not because not because of the trip itself, but we had also been planning to go to Pittsburgh together for the first time. But I said, listen, yeah, I know we discussed doing this together, but
Unbelievable.
you have work, I don't.
Drew's like, wrestling's more important than you. So
Wrestling has more than one importance, and in my life, I have honestly had Ricochet and Will Ospreay as a bucket list uh, thing to check off on my wrestling fandom, and I have to do it. I have to go.
I mean, yeah, you might. Yeah, I don't think you have to, but
I have to go.
It's fair. If you got to do it, you got to do it.
I'm gonna feel like shit if I don't go.
I mean, if it's not near you, it's not near you. You know, it is what it is. You only can control so many certain things.
But
if you can go. Why wouldn't you go? If you can go.
There's something about like being in a building for a moment.
I don't think that. Yeah. I don't want to judge it. I don't want to judge it because I know.
Or maybe you don't feel that way. That's fine.
I know people really love their first match, and it is a good match. But I'm not one of those anti people that were like, this is ruining wrestling. It's not, but this is why wrestling is good, because I will have no problem watching that from home on my television. For me, that type of match, which I know is a big match, it is not worth me investing the financial things that it's going to cost for me to go to that show, because I don't think they're going to. I think the match will be,
if you're watching and you want to help me out.
Exactly. But Johnny says,
I will happily cover the show.
I know.
For love wrestling, for any.
Johnny says that he's glad Ricochet has a little bit of an edge to him. And he's not just a white meat babyface.
That's what that promo did.
I feel like that promo was that. It was him being like, yeah, I'm a nice guy. I'm a good guy. I just got here. But, like, don't be fooled by what you saw, these last handful of years or whatever. Like, I'm still that guy. And, like, I'll beat your ass if I need to beat your ass. Like, it was that little bit of edge. Because I do think he is going to be a babyface for sure. He is. But I do think he is going to get a little bit of attitude. They're going to let him be himself more often, which is kind of a shit talker, kind of a cocky, in a likable way. But he was a cocky dude. Like, that was his character, was like, he said he was, he said it last night. He said, I'm out of this world, man. Like, that was his thing. I'm out of this world. Like, I'm different than everybody else. So, yeah, man, at least we got something. What the hell is going on over there? Jesus Christ. We are falling apart as we get to the end of this show. Jesus. But
you're in my face.
I know. Hey, listen, Lou was in here right at the beginning. We then have this main event, holy hell, man. This was a classic main event last night. It was Kenosha Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Will Ospreay going up against the Elite, Kazuchika Okada, and the Young Bucks. Obviously, we know next week we have Fletcher and Ospreay versus the Bucks for the tag titles. They added Okada and Takeshita, who seem to be we're getting that match soon, hopefully at some point as well. Wrestle Dream would be wonderful for that. This match, from the opening bell to when it ended, was insane. These 6 guys did everything you would expect them to do. Crazy moves. Kyle Fletcher continues to just be incredible. Kenosha Takeshita reversing the Rainmaker into a Blue Thunder Bomb was amazing. At that sequence in that match, I liked how, even though Fletcher and Ospreay were on the same page, Takeshita and Ospreay were not on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
I liked that intrigue of that trio there. It was kind of fun, with Takeshita kind of pushing him away to get a tag, and what we saw at the end of the match. And I thought that was really good. And what we saw at the end was Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay getting the one up over the Bucks, and Kyle Fletcher pinning Matt Jackson for the 1, 2, 3. Don Callis family and Ospreay wins. The Elite are shown walking up the ramp, kind of licking their wounds as the show ends. We see Ospreay try to put out his hand for a handshake with Takeshita, and Takeshita pushes his face away, and then Don Callis kind of gets in the middle and was like, no, it's fine. Like, he's trying to keep peace. Don Callis with everything that's going on.
That shithead Don Callis.
I thought he was normal last night, though. I thought he, again, I don't trust him at all.
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't trust him either. He's 100% gonna do something, and then probably next week.
Maybe. But one hell of a main event, Drew, and it gave the intrigue. The challengers beating the champions the week before a big title match. It gives you that. Oh, can they beat the Young Bucks next week? They beat them tonight. That kind of vibe. But again, like I saw this match and I was just like, the only thing that came out of this match for me is I need Okada and Takeshita one-on-one. Please. I just need it. The tag match next week, gonna be great, but you can get my feelings by going and watching last week's episode of Firmly AEW, because for the last 10 minutes I was screaming and yelling and swearing about my opinions of that match even happening. Going to be a great match. Going to be an unbelievable match. I know this. It's going to be great. Whether I end up there in person or watching it on TV, it's going to be a fabulous match. But if you want my opinions on how I feel about Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher being the challengers, go watch the last 15 minutes of last week. You'll get my opinions very, very bluntly.
I would honestly love for you to be able to come to Grand Slam and we can hang out together. That would be
it'd be fun. It'd be fun. We'll see. But this main event, what a way to end the show, Drew. I thought it was a very, very good episode of Dynamite. I love the promos. I love the stories that they're doing. The BCC is the most intriguing, my favorite thing on the show right now. I want to know what the greater power is. I want to know the greater good. I mean, not the greater power, but you know what I mean. I want to know what the greater good is. I want to know what the deal is. I'm intrigued to see what Wheeler Yuta does next week. I'm intrigued to see if Danielson shows up next week, and not only if he shows up, but if he's cleared to wrestle. There's a lot of stuff going in, and next week's Grand Slam, they have loaded up. There's 3 championship matches. You get the number 1 contender match with Moxley and Darby as well. This show next week is going to be, it's lined up to be, from a card standpoint, it's lined up to be the best one ever of the Grand Slams, truly. Will it live up to that? Because the first one was pretty special. The
reason why I mentioned being in a building for moments is because of the first Grand Slam. I was able to ever since I started going to shows. The first show that I ever went to was Progress NYC, the first one that they did in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a hell of a time there. I got to see so many people that are now in other places doing other things. Walter, I got to see for the first time on that show, and look at where Walter is now. I got to see Pete Dunne. I got to see Austin Theory. I got to see Matt Riddle. But we won't talk about that. But yeah, like I was really became like enthralled with like a live show experience. So I started going to Evolve shows regularly. That's where I got to see more people. Like I got to see Darby Allin in Evolve. I got to see Ethan Page. I got to see Johnny Gargano, the Street Profits, and there's something special about. I realize now after like going to Grand Slam, because that was my first TV wrestling show that I ever went to.
Mm-hmm.
There's something special about being in the building for a moment. It's great watching it on TV, but physically being there in that crowd, taking that in is oh yes, that was mentioned.
And they did the video at the end too.
Ricochet mentioned it too.
Ricochet mentioned him by name in his promo, and after the match, they showed the Tron because Will Ospreay pointed at it, and they had the United Empire video playing on the Tron as well.
Yeah, so I really just like Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson.
Speaking of, go ahead.
When
they had the draw, right?
That was the time limit draw, the 30-minute draw. Yeah. When Kenny Omega's music hit, I actually just got emotional because I was like, he was my favorite, and still he's one of my favorites. But like up until that point, I was really into AEW, and he, and I lost it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually here for this moment. And the match that they had was a classic. So I'm like, how do I not go to Ricochet and Will Ospreay?
I mean, yeah. If you want, I'm not telling you not to.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, even if you told me not to, I probably.
Yeah. Look, it is going to be. You want my honest opinion of it? I think Ricochet should beat him. If you want my honest opinion about it, I think Ricochet should beat him. That's how I feel. Because I think Will Ospreay should be world title bound tomorrow. Yesterday. He should be in the world title picture. He is literally the star of your company right now. And I don't even think it's close at this point. I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close at this point. I think Will Ospreay is without question the top babyface star you have. Without question. And Ricochet is there. He's not undefeated because he technically lost the gauntlet where he debuted, but he's undefeated in singles competition. He's 3-0. He's looking really good. I think you pull the trigger right away and you have Ricochet beat Will Ospreay for that belt. That's what I would do. It immediately puts Ricochet over. Immediately. And then Ospreay can have the rematch if they want or whatever. And then I think Ospreay needs to be going for the world. Whoever it is. Ospreay, to me.
I mean, yeah.
Right now, if you're looking at me on the roster, he should be the next world champion. You obviously Swerve, Hangman. There's a short list. Moxley, Swerve, Hangman, MJ. Like there's a list of 5. Darby, MJF, and him are really the only guys I can look at on the roster right now and go, they could become world champion tomorrow, and I wouldn't bat an eye.
If they get, I know this is like people say, oh, this is WWE and all that stuff, but for the roster that they have, genuinely, the roster that they have, you could do like a soft brand split style type of a thing. And if, whatever the shockwave is, the FS1 show, if they go on Fox, you could just do another title for that show.
They have enough titles. They don't need more titles. But they do not need more titles. They have too many.
The point of splitting it, though, is that Ring of Honor would not be involved anymore.
That's fine. Even without Ring of Honor, they have too many titles.
WWE has more titles than them.
I'm not overthinking it either, Scott. I've said it for 3 weeks now. I agree. That's where my head's at.
AEW has world title, continental, international, trios tag for the men. Mm-hmm. And then TNT title. And then...
That's 6. That is 6 titles just for the men. Just for the men.
Okay,
World,
so it's about the same
IC, US, tag. Now, each show has different tag teams, but that's 4.
But those you have to count 2 separate tag titles.
I mean, you can. That's fine. But that's still less. That's 5 then. And then you're not even including
World heavyweight, IC.
But that's a brand split, though. So for me, that's not the same. It's not the same. That's like you're talking about a brand split, but you're talking about a brand split and then reintroducing another new title. If they want to do a brand split, that's fine, but you don't need to introduce new titles. Just make some of the titles fucking go over there. You don't need to make new. You already have too many.
Honestly, I wouldn't hate that either because.
But they tried to do that with Collision because of CM Punk. And now I feel like when I watch Collision, they don't even really care about Collision. Collision to me is without question the B show now. Like they put so much less care in Collision that I don't even make it a point to watch it live every week.
If I didn't have to cover it, I probably wouldn't watch it.
That's what I'm saying. Like if we didn't, and again, we really focus on Dynamite more than Collision. We just talk about important stuff. But like, if I wasn't doing this show with you where I was like, I need to watch Collision, I would just look at the results because they don't put anything on there that is must see at all. They put good stuff on there. The wheelie, like they put good stuff. It's a good show, but they don't put anything that makes anybody say, oh man, I got to be home and watch Collision this week because this match is happening. They don't do that anymore at all when it comes to Collision. And it's like, okay, well, like
they do more like trio stuff.
Yeah. And like, you know, and they have certain things, they have certain stories that like the main shit happens on Collision as opposed to Dynamite, but they're secondary stories. They don't have the main. I agree, Johnny. I know. I do think women's tag titles in AEW eventually would be a good thing. I would allow that if they were gonna. I think the two things AEW needs to do is you need to separate Ring of Honor and get those belts off my AEW television.
Yes.
And the only new belt that I would be okay with would be women's tag titles. Because we just went through it. There are 6 different belts that the men can win. And even right now, we only have 2 that the women can win. So, well, no, technically there was there's only, And then I'm not counting the Owen Hart belts because those are just.
Yeah, I don't count that either.
I'm not counting those. But like right now, there are 6 titles that men can fight for, and there are 2 that women can fight for. So I think you need to make women's tag titles. I think at some point that would be really good. And then that's got to be it, dude. Like, again, like the Continental Classic.
So when I was saying a brand split, I didn't literally mean that there needs to be a world title and a tag title, trios title.
Yeah,
and
I think the way that they can do it is you can, again, I don't think they're going to do a brand split because I do think you're seeing they only use who they use. And that it is what it is. I know they have people sign that we don't see often. I just can't imagine that they're eventually all of a sudden going to use these people.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I had a conspiracy theory that the third person that's going to be with Private Party is Danhausen.
That'd be fun. Now, if they play it up that Commander can't do it because he got his ass kicked by the BCC.
That's what I thought.
That would be fun. But to me, I was like, oh, again, this is not anything negative towards Commander either. But I'm just like, oh, is that it?
Yeah, because they made a point to say a third, but didn't announce a third.
No, and that made me think, oh shit, that's gonna be it's at Grand Slam like that. At first, I know he's too hurt, but the first name that immediately I was like Eddie Kingston, but I know he's not healthy.
Yeah,
but like immediately to me, I'm like, oh, New York, Eddie Kingston should be the guy, but he's still recovering, so it's not him. But I was like, oh, who else could it be? Who could pop in and like kind of get a pop from the crowd? And they're not going to win the match, but like fine. But then when Commander showed up, I was like, oh, is that the third? I'm like, that's kind of
right. And it made sense because he was also attacked by BCC.
Yes.
So it made sense, but I would like for them to do an injury angle.
And and I don't even think but Scott brings up a good point. I don't think that match is happening next week anyway because Isaiah Cassidy got his hand smashed by a hammer. So I don't even think the way they made that feel.
Still have that match.
Really? I don't know. It felt the way that Moxley was like, I'm not going to end your careers right now, but consider this a refresh for you because you're going to be on the shelf.
So the reason why I had Commander as I had Danhausen as a conspiracy theory was because of 2 things. One, think it was about a week ago, or a little under a week ago, he tweeted that he was pulled from a show. He was supposed to do a like some sort of indie show, and he was pulled from the show. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the date was like September 21st to 22nd, which is right around the corner. Grand Slam is the 23rd, I believe.
25th.
25th. So, that
well, if it's on the 21st, that's when Collision is.
The second thing. Oh.
Collision's on Saturday the 21st. So.
Second thing was maybe about 10 minutes before you went live. AEW, WWE. Can I ever say WWE Shop? AEW Shop AEW. There's a new Danhausen shirt. Coincidence?
Probably not. You never know.
I don't know.
You never know.
Maybe they worked something out with Danhausen, and
who knows, dude?
You know, listen. If they did, get on it with Daniel Garcia. TK, get on it.
Well, we don't know what's going on with Daniel Garcia.
I know.
We haven't seen him since, Brandon, we answered this at the beginning of the show, but we feel both really good about the new TV deal. It's obviously a great thing for AEW. And more importantly, it's a great thing for professional wrestling. That means that AEW is not going anywhere. They're getting almost, I know the reports are like 170 mil per year. So I know 200 mil was a number that was thrown out there for a long time. So they're not exactly getting that. Again, we won't know the final details until it's officially announced, right?
But again, remember, what people aren't realizing is that the 170 million is only from Warner.
Yes.
If they go on Fox too, that's additional money.
Correct. So that's only what the
200
exactly. So it's like, everybody was like, oh, 200 million, blah, blah, like you said. 170 is the reports from Warner Brothers. That takes care of Dynamite and, Max and the pay-per-views or whatever. If they do a whole secondary different show on a different network, they're probably going to get another deal that's going to put them total north of $200 million.
Right.
So you got to look at it that way as well. But the bottom line is, at the very least, that means that professional wrestling is in a good spot. We have two major companies getting major money from major TV companies to have shows on television every week. We talk about it on Tuesdays. WWE is hot as ever. They're going to be on Netflix the beginning of the year. AEW is going to sign, or already has signed. We're just waiting for it to be announced. This massive deal that's going to incorporate HBO Max into it and all this stuff. They might end up on Fox too. Like, I agree with you, Brandon. Hopefully, again, it feels like we've been talking about.
Apparently, Rampage.
That's fine. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. I got no problem with it. So Brandon, I agree. Like, I feel like, and what we said kind of before we started diving into Dynamite, because we got to get out of here in a few minutes. But what I said was, we've been hearing about this TV deal for what feels like a year, right? A year.
Yeah.
It's really fine. It finally seems like it's here. It's a good deal. And they're going to announce it in the next couple of weeks. I think, like Drew said earlier, they're definitely going to announce it at the latest by the 5-year Dynamite anniversary. Like, that's at the latest, I would think. We're going to hear the details, get the announcement, see the press release, all this stuff. To me, and our buddies on In the Weeds, Joel and Jeremy, yesterday, they were talking about this to end their show. It's not, they got the deal. We're here. What they've done the last 5 years has earned them this new deal. Yeah, I saw that. Has earned them this new deal. And they might be going on other networks. That's a really, really good thing for AEW. It's a really good thing for everybody. Now, AEW needs to do the work and earn the money that they were just given. And that's really what's most important.
The startup money that they got, phenomenal. Something that nobody ever thought could happen.
Yep.
However, since that 5 years, listen, there's
been ups and downs. There's been ups and downs. Ups and downs.
And ups and downs.
Yeah.
The whole CM Punk fiasco happened as well.
I feel like they're over it. I feel like right now, this year, I feel like this year, not so much earlier there, but I feel like this summer up until what they're doing right now, I feel like as a whole, when I watch the show, you don't feel that void anymore. I feel like you don't feel the void anymore.
My thing about that was they needed to get past All In, and they got past All In. There were no issues, and that was like, okay, you know what? This bullshit happened last year. CM Punk got fired. It tainted the company for a little while. It did.
Yeah. Big time. There was a cloud over. You could feel it. You could feel the cloud over everything. And I feel like that cloud's gone now. I really do feel that way. I feel like they might not be over it personally, some of them, but I feel like as a company, they are past it. I feel like they are truly past it. And I feel like they're about to hit another level of things. And it's really what they do with it. Because if they don't up their game a little bit and get more consistent and get better ratings and get more attendance and those things that are really eye-opening, if they don't get better and figure out a way to do that, then guess what? 4 years, 5 years from now, whenever this contract is up, they're not getting another one. They're not getting another one. So they need to do the work and do what they need to do to be consistent and be what we know they can be. Now, again, we got to get out of here, but like yesterday, a photo was released of Kenny Omega working out with Kota Ibushi. They showed him in the gym. He looked pretty good. So he's going to be coming back hopefully soon by the end of the year, you would hope. You got MJF who's not around. You got Swerve who's taking a little bit of time off. We know about the guys who are around that they're not using. Most of them probably aren't going to be here. But you're going to be losing Danielson. But you got this new kick-ass angle with Moxley and crew. You're building up Darby to world title status right now. You just got Ricochet. Will Ospreay's a star. Kyle Fletcher has become a top-of-the-card star these last couple months. Like, you have pieces in place. You have this new contract, which is going to allow you to keep signing people that you need to fucking use if you're going to sign them. But it still allows you to sign more people. It allows you to do the things that needs to do. And the storytelling is an obvious focus right now. It's getting better. I agree.
Oh, yeah.
They need to be better when it comes to merchandise because their shirts suck. They need to be better.
They've been getting better on that, though.
They've been getting a little better, too. They need to continue to get better when it comes to that. They need to get better when it comes to promotion. We've talked about it on here before. Dynamite is in Massachusetts. Collision is in Massachusetts on Saturday in Springfield. I listen to sports radio every day. Usually, if I'm doing nothing work and I'm not doing a show or live, I'm listening to sports radio. I still, over the last month, have not heard one radio advertisement for Collision happening on Saturday.
Well, I don't listen to radio, so I don't know if it's going on the radio.
There have been no commercials in my local, no commercials in my local market saying, "Hey, Collision's on Saturday in Springfield. Here you can go get tickets." Nothing. They say it on the shows to me. They tell me.
Yeah, right.
But not anywhere else. That needs to be better. That needs to be
on better. Facebook and Instagram, I have been inundated with Grand Slam ads.
That's good. That's good. But like I'm saying, there are a lot, at least in this market, and I'm assuming it's similar throughout everywhere. But there are a lot of people that watch TV a lot and that are on the radio, and you got to be hitting everything. You got to be hitting everything.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry if and again, WWE, a different level, but like when Raw's around, dude, I'm hearing about commercials for Raw for 2 months before that shit's happening. And the week before, there are WWE wrestlers calling into every major radio show on every major channel in Boston promoting. It might be the same wrestler doing them all. It might just be The Miz doing them all or whatever. But there are wrestlers with 10 to 15-minute interviews on every major radio show in Boston promoting, hey, and those radio shows are then giving away a pair of free tickets to the show if you call in or you do that. That's the type of next level shit that AEW needs to start doing. You need to start doing that. You got to be more. Exactly. You can put more money for more resources to do that shit because you need to start elevating at that level, because you know what? It might not work for me or for you or for most of us in the chat, but there are people that will hear a radio ad and go, "Oh, fuck, I'm going to go check that out. I didn't know wrestling was in town. I used to love wrestling. Or I like AEW. I didn't even know they were coming around. I'm going to go to that show. And that's how, is it going to solve every problem and sell out arenas across the country? No. There you go. I am 20 minutes. I'll be in Manchester, New Hampshire tomorrow. I am 25 minutes away from Manchester, New Hampshire. I didn't even know that was happening, and I do a show about AEW. I didn't even know that was happening. I didn't know Collision was in Springfield until I was watching Collision last week, and they fucking told me. That's how much I'm not seeing anything around here saying, hey.
And the funny thing is, too, is that
they could promote it better on their own shows.
Yes.
Because why am I just finding out, or why are you just finding out that they're doing that show in that place?
That's what I'm saying.
A week before they're doing the show in that place.
Yeah. It's bananas.
They should be talking about that for a month.
Absolutely. And again, even if they don't do it on their shows, I should be hearing a radio advertisement or seeing a pop-up happen on my computer because it knows where I am, or this or that. Okay, well, at least you heard it on the radio, because I don't know what channels you're listening to. I don't know what channels you're listening to, but the channels that I listen to, the sports channels where a lot of sports fans like wrestling too, I ain't hearing shit. And I've never heard shit when it comes to AEW. Maybe a couple days before the show, once, but I only hear from either coming across. Yeah, they just need to be better at it. They just need to be better at it. Johnny, I try not to. I try not to. And I wouldn't say this is an angry rant. This is just me saying.
No,
these are the things where I think AEW, we're seeing better. The women's division this year has taken leaps and bounds. The women's division this year. Continue getting better at that. I agree with the storylines being better and juicier and more psychological and making you think. And I like that. The wrestling has always been good. The matches have always been good. But there are other parts of your business that you need to improve. And hopefully this type of deal is what happens. So
I think, to close it out, I really do think that them being on a new station will help.
Big time.
And then a station like Fox Sports.
Or FS1 could be True TV. They're kind of, like Scott said earlier in the chat, they're kind of turning True TV into like a sports channel now. They're kind of turning that into a sports channel. And I feel like if AEW is your wrestling product that gets an hour or 2 hours, I think they said it's going to be an hour thing, if anything, but it gets an hour one night a week from 9 to 10 or 8 to 9. And that's kind of one of your handful of like main shows on your new, True TV has been around forever, but if they're kind of rebranding it as a sports channel, having a high-powered wrestling company, AEW, with some familiar names, that's a good get. And that's a good spot for AEW.
Yeah.
So
what did True TV used to be called?
It was always True TV.
It was?
Yeah, but they just showed it was like courtrooms and shit. And then they did Impractical Jokers was on there, and that was like the main thing on there forever. And then like during March Madness, when there's games all over the place, True TV was kind of a one that they would show. And then, but they're just kind of turning True TV into, I think it'll end up on FS1 if I had to guess, the AEW show. But like Scott said, there's a lot more sports on True TV nowadays. And again, that is owned by Warner's. That True TV is owned by CBS, TBS. Like the March Madness games are on TBS, TNT, True TV, CBS, that type of stuff. But
Warner and CBS have properties together?
I don't know, but I know when they do March Madness every year, which is a CBS thing, the games are always on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. So I assume they were all in the same umbrella, cloud, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's what I assumed. I honestly don't know. I don't keep in tune with enough of the inner workings of that, but I just figured, hey, these are the 4 channels that always show this every year. CBS is the main channel, so I assume they were all somewhat involved with each other. They have to have an agreement of sorts to do that, right? I don't know. But anyway, we're a little bit over 12. We started a little late, so we're still under 2 hours, but Drew has a job to do in a little bit.
Unfortunately.
We're a little over the 12 o'clock time. Good. It's in the Turner family. Okay, that makes sense. So it's in the Turner family. So that wouldn't really be the Fox show. That would be something different. But again, if you wanted to move, like let's say you want to keep Rampage around, but you want it to be a secondary thing, or they bring back Dark of some sort or something like that.
I think, you know
You
what?
go to True TV, maybe.
You know what I think? I think Rampage needs to be Ring of Honor's television show.
I would not be against that. What if you got Ring of Honor a 1-hour show on True TV, and it's, you know, Thursday nights 8 to 9. Try not to do that because I have a show on Thursday nights that everybody should be watching, so try not to do Thursdays still, but you know what I mean. But like that would be something where I go, hey, you know, maybe and we don't know the details yet, but maybe in this deal, maybe Tony was like, can I get an hour a week for Ring of Honor so I can separate this shit, please? Maybe, who knows? But anyway,
and we can see Athena on TV.
Yeah, the best champion that is under the Tony Khan umbrella sent in the last 2 years. Never get to see her because I'm not paying $10 for a show that is not consistent. I'm just not doing it. Plus, I have a live show that night, so I don't watch it live. But anyway, but on that note, I appreciate everybody for popping in. Thank you for bearing with us with the semi-late start today and just this week in general. I know this week was just jumbled. We did the Tuesday night show. A lot of viewership on the Tuesday night show, by the way. Very good. Thank you all for showing up. But the Tuesday night show we had to do after NXT because of some stuff on my end, and then some stuff came up on both our ends today. Sometimes real life is more important than wrestling, guys. I know. Don't hate us. We love wrestling, but sometimes real life is more important. And by sometimes I mean should be most of the time. But you know, we had to take care of some business, but we came here. You guys showed up. You showed out today. Great discussions in the chat at the beginning. Thanks for bearing with me by myself for the first 15 minutes as I was trying to, I'm not used to the solo gig. I usually am bouncing off somebody, but I appreciate that. Drew, let the people know where they can find you, and then I'll do my thing and we'll get out of here.
Well, when I'm not in bed, like I am right now, you can find me on Twitter at the Drew Nicholas. You can find me covering Fightful's post-show for Collision, the Super Chats and Humper Chats, with Rick, Cresta, and Iridian, and Roundtable Wrestling Podcast, and follow Firmly Love Wrestling at Firmly LW as well.
Hell yeah. You can follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms right there, including Twitch and over on the YouTube. You know what? We had to, man. Sometimes we didn't want to not do a show. We didn't want to not do a show. We had to, but we had over 100 people tuning in here on Tuesday night. It was a good number in the corner that we saw. So it was worth it. You know what we should have done? Because we were originally, I have felt not great this week. And we were like, how are we going to do the show? I have an appointment on Tuesday. We were originally talking about going live Monday night after Raw, and we decided not to. But then Fightful, because we were like, oh, Fightful's live, you know, all this stuff. But then they didn't even do a show on Monday. Sean canceled the show because he wasn't feeling good. They didn't even do a show after Raw. And I was like, damn, I wasn't feeling good either. So him and I were on the same wavelength of like, we're not feeling great. But they ended up not doing a show. So I was almost like, damn, I should have just sucked it up. And we should have said, let's go live on Monday. But we did it on Tuesday. It was great. Today was great. Appreciate you all. Follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming. Tonight, 8 p.m., you know the drill. Me and Pluggo, Between Two Beards, the flagship here at Love Wrestling. So I'll be live right back on this channel in a little under 8 hours from now. But Drew and I will be back on Tuesday at 10 a.m. for some more Firmly Love Wrestling, some Firmly WWE. But like he said, Firmly LW on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Go give us a follow. Any updates like us starting late or anything like that, you'll see on there. Appreciate all the support. And you guys know the drill. For Drew, for myself, peace out.